Alright, so I'm going to show you guys how to make a 5% RU solution. These are all the things that you're going to need. So first of all, you're going to need the RU itself. You're going to want to store this in a dark and cold place. I store my RU in the freezer. I first put it in this box and then put it in the freezer. This way it's dark and it's cold and it's dry. And of course it's in the original packaging that it comes in. I buy this from Anagen Inc. Hopefully you guys can see that. This is a 10 gram package, 99% purity. So yeah, it says it's stable for up to 1 year at room temperature, and in the freezer it remains stable for 2 years. So for me, in order for it to give the best bang for the buck and just not lose any potency, I store this always in the freezer, and I only take it out when I'm mixing my solution. Now, in addition to the powder, you're going to need the ethanol. So this is probably the hardest part to source, aka the hardest part to get. Where do you get ethanol? Where a lot of people get it from buying Everclear, but that's the Everclear alcohol. That's 95% proof. But it's not legal in every state, and it's hard to get in many states. I get this from New Jersey. It's like a Polish vodka. It's actually more potent than Everclear. It's 96%. It's 192 proof. And so, yeah, it's called Spiritus Rectificowani. Rectified Spirit is the name in English. 750 milliliters. I've done a bunch of batches, and still I have plenty of it left. This was like 22 bucks. So you just gotta know where to buy it, and they can't ship to every state. They can't ship to states where it's not legal to ship to, so I should go pick it up from there. Anyway, so this is the ethanol. Then we have the propylene glycol. This is not hard to get. You can get this. This thing costs like 15 bucks. You can get it on Amazon. It's very easy to get. So we're gonna mix 70% of this and 30% of this. Okay? So in addition to the RU, the ethanol, the propylene glycol, we need the beakers and a glass rod to mix the solutions. We need the scale, like a very accurate scale. And yeah, that's most of the things that we're going to need. That's basically all. So basically what I do is I make 1 week worth of RU, because once it is mixed in a solution, once it goes from powder to liquid, it starts degrading over time. So I don't want to mix too much of it, because I don't want it to degrade in liquid. I just do it once a week, so that it's in liquid form for only 1 week, and it doesn't lose potency that way. You don't, like a lot of people make a 1 month batch of RU. I don't do that because I don't know how strong it's going to be in 1 month. So basically what you need is essentially 14 milliliters of liquid, because you're going to use 2 milliliters a day, once a day and once at night. So 2 milliliters a day times 7 days a week, that's 14 milliliters. Now I make 16 milliliters, so I make 2 additional milliliters, and the reason for that is that sometimes I put in more than 1 milliliter in the morning. So I put in maybe 1.25 milliliters. So I just want to have that additional extra milliliter in there to use if necessary. Just something that I do. You don't have to do it. You can mix 14 milliliters. Since I mix 16 milliliters and not 14, all of my measurements are such that I get a 5% solution in 16 milliliters. So basically, if I were to calculate how much RU I need to put in a 16 milliliter solution, then for a 5% RU, what I have to do is multiply 16 times 0.05, which is 5%, and that's 0.8 grams. Let's say that I wanted to do 14 milliliters, not 16, 14, just for a week. Then I have to do 14 times 0.05, so I need to put 0.7 grams of RU into the 14 milliliters. To get 5% in 14 milliliters, I need to put 0.7 grams. Let's say that I want to make a solution for 1 month. Well, for 1 month, there's 30 days usually in a month, or 31 days if you want to do 31 days. So 30 days times 2 milliliters a day is 60 milliliters. So to make a solution, a 5% solution in 60 milliliters of liquid, you want 60 times 0.05, which is 5%. You need 3 grams of RU to make 1 month worth of solution. Now, when I say solution, I mean 70% of this and 30% of this, of the propylene glycol. So, how do you figure out? So you figure out first how much you want to make. In my case, I want to make 16 milliliters. Now, this 16 milliliters of solution is going to be made up of ethanol and propylene glycols, 70% and 30%. So for me to figure out how much 70% is of the 16 milliliters total that I want to make, all I need to do is multiply 16 times 0.7, and that's roughly 11.2 milliliters of ethanol, and 30% of 16 is 0.3 times 16, 4.8 milliliters, or roughly 5 milliliters of propylene glycol. If I want to do it for 1 month, that's 60 milliliters. I will say 60 milliliters times 70% of this, 60 times 0.7, I need 42 milliliters of this, and 18 milliliters of this, because 42 plus 18 equals 60, or 60 times 0.3 equals 18. Okay, 18 of this, 42 of this, if I want to make 60 milliliters total. Since I'm making 16, I need 11 of this and 5 of this. 11 plus 5, 16. 11 is 70%, 5 is 30% of 16. Okay, so that's what we're going to do now. So 10 grams of RU is a 5% solution. 10 grams of RU are, oops. So how much can I actually make with 10 grams? Basically, with 10 grams, you can make 200 milliliters with 10 grams if you do a 5% solution. 200 milliliters is equal to 100 days if you're using 2 milliliters a day. So 100 days is equal to 3 months and 10 days. You know, if you mix this, if you make 5% of this in a solution of 70 and 30%, you can get 3 months and 10 days out of this. If you're using RU for a year, it adds up to, so yeah, like $500 per year. So it's not cheap, okay? Just wanted to give you an idea of like all of this and how much all of this is going to be and how you can make it. I just want to make sure that you guys are like up to speed and really can make the best decision for yourselves here, because like the most important thing is to educate yourself. So you can see here how it is in powder form. This is for research purposes, so you got to take all precautions and just make sure that your research subject is aware of the risks, which, you know, the risks of this are yet unknown. I mean, it's in many ways it's experimental. My research subject has found that this has been a very, very effective treatment for hair loss. Where other medications have failed, other treatments have failed, this has been much more effective. So now what we're going to do, since I'm making 16 milliliters, like I said, I need 0.8 grams of this. Now here's the kind of tricky part. We have the scale here. Okay, so I need to put 0.8 grams of RU on this scale. Okay, and I need to be as accurate as possible. So I put this paper on there. The paper itself weighs something. Okay, it weighs something. My scale isn't picking up the weight of the paper, but the paper weighs. It weighs, I think, like 0.3 grams. So that's why this scale isn't like super good. Like you see how it went to -3 now? Let me turn it on again. Let me put it on again. There. 0.2 grams is what this weighs. So what I want to do is I want to set this to 0. So I hit the tare button so that with the paper it takes into account and says it's 0. Okay? So now I can go ahead and measure the exact amount of RU powder that I need, which is going to be 0.8 grams. Okay, so you got to be very careful. You don't spill, you don't, you know, so hopefully I don't spill any of this, because this is expensive stuff. So you grab it with like a plastic spoon. So I got 0.2, 0.6. That didn't add anything. 0.7. Oh, 0.9. So I put in too much. I need to take some off. And I'm sure there's more like accurate and precise utensils that you can use rather than this stupid plastic spoon. But anyway, we're here. 0.8 grams. Cool. I'll leave this here. So what I'm going to do is take the 0.8 grams of RU carefully. Don't want to spill it. Carefully. Make sure the paper doesn't pop on you. Oh jeez. I'm going to spill it, aren't I? If I can manage to put this in this small beaker where I do the mixing, and then I'm good. So carefully I'm gonna put this here, and there we go. I don't want to waste any of this at all. Here it is. It's inside the beaker. Now what we want to do is first put the ethanol. We don't need the scale anymore. We're done with the scale. What we need is to measure, like we said, 11 milliliters of this. So I have this beaker, which measures 10 milliliters. So I'm going to fill this beaker with 10 milliliters. And that is exactly 10 milliliters. You guys probably can't see it, but I can, and I see that it's exactly 10 milliliters. It's a pretty good job, actually. Well, it needs a little bit more. Now, if you want to be a little bit more precise with this, you can do it in 1 milliliter increments. You can use this. This is 1 milliliter. So we'll go in here. We're just going to suck in a little bit more to get this to be 10. So it's exactly 10 now, and then we're going to suck in exactly 1 milliliter more. And it's a little bit less than 1 milliliter, so I know I need about 0.25 more. And again, like, you get it as precise as you can. I mean, that 70-30 isn't like written in stone anywhere. It's just what people think it should be. And I generally think, like, the ethanol, I think, is like what penetrates the skin. The propylene glycol is what gets it there. Is the vector, is the vehicle that gets it there, gets it to the skin. So both of them are important. Anyway, so we're just gonna dump this in here now. Dump that all. I'm just gonna use this because I know there's some powder left here, so I'm just gonna use this for now. So I'm gonna wash it in here. Okay. But for this to, like, so I need 5 milliliters of this. So I have this smaller, even smaller beaker, believe it or not, like these tiny beakers. I have this even smaller beaker that goes to exactly 5. So I'm going to use this beaker to measure. And it's much easier to throw in the propylene glycol because it's a little thicker in consistency. Yeah, so I threw in a little bit more than 5. See if we can take that back out. Yes. A little bit more. Okay. Yeah, perfect. 5. So, got the ethanol. Throw in the propylene glycol. And this, my friends, is 16 milliliters of solution, which is made up of 70% of this, or 11 milliliters of this, 30% of this, 5 milliliters of this, and 0.8 grams of RU, which makes it 5%. So now, we're just going to mix it. We're going to mix it, okay? Careful you don't spill it. Careful you don't do something stupid, but we need to mix this, you know, and I feel some drops on my fingers as I mix it vigorously, so you wanna try to keep it in there because it's expensive stuff. Now you wanna mix it where it becomes completely clear. This is not completely clear, obviously. There's like these things, so I'm gonna continue to mix this for a good 5 to 10 minutes. It's not the most fun part. I mean, this whole process takes anywhere from 10 to 20 minutes. Plus there's cleanup and, you know. But you can see it's dissolving a little bit more. Now, we mixed our solution in ethanol and propylene glycol. if you want to make it even easier on yourself and not have to worry about percentages, 70 and 30%, you can just take minoxidil and mix the RU powder directly in minoxidil. So if you take the 60 milliliter bottle of minoxidil, like Kirkland minoxidil is probably a little bit better to mix in than Lipogain, because Lipogain has additional stuff in it that Kirkland does, so it may not mix as well. But if you want to mix in 1 month worth of Kirkland minoxidil, or 60 milliliters of minoxidil, then you need 0.05, which is a 5% of RU, times 60. Yeah, 3 grams. You need 3 grams of this. You need 3 grams of this for 1 month of in 1 month of minoxidil. Okay? So it's almost completely clear. This is the good thing about mixing it in ethanol and propylene glycol. In my opinion, it's much more. Reason why I think it's better to mix it in ethanol and propylene glycol is because it completely dissolves. Like, this thing is almost clear now. Like, there's just very few particles left and it's almost clear, and the rest of these particles are just going to dissolve by themselves overnight. With minoxidil, it's much harder to dissolve this. I'm talking like double if not triple the time that you need to spend just mixing it, and even then, like, it won't fully completely mix in my opinion, so that's kind of why I think it's better to mix it in ethanol, propylene glycol. I don't have any proof with this, but what I do is I apply the RU on the research subject, of course, and then after the RU dries, give it, I don't know, 3 to 5 minutes on the scalp of the research subject. Then I apply on the scalp of the research subject the foam, the Kirkland minoxidil foam. Yeah, so it's basically completely dissolved. So yeah, so that's it. Now you just gotta throw this somewhere where you can store it. So what I do is I put it here. So take this, take this, now go ahead and dump this right in there. There it is, my friends. There it is. Good to go. You made yourself a batch of RU, and the more you make it, just the easier it's going to be to make it again in the future. First time is kind of like where you're worried about things like, oh, am I doing this right, or, you know, like, need to think about every single step. But then once you get the hang of it, so I'm good now for 1 week of RU. Just mix it in the bottle a little bit more. There we go. And then just go ahead and pop it in the fridge, and you're done. So hope this is helpful.